There's a memorial to the first Australian tunnelling company who gave their lives in the mining and defensive operations of Hill 60 from 1915 to 1918. This monument replaces that originally erected in 1919 by the Comrades in Arms, and the bullet holes are from World War II. Those bullet holes are from World War I. Now, research my cousin has done indicates that my great-grandfather, Thomas McGrath, was attached to this mining company that's been on it here. Even though he's a New Zealander, he was obviously put into the Australian Mining Company. Whether or not he actually was part of it when it went off on June the 7th, but we'll have a look because there's a write-up there about it, and there's a write-up about Hill 60 here. So I'll just pan over to it. I'll focus in on the English writing. So Hill 60 was a low ridgeline artificially turned into a hill with the digging of a railway coming alongside it. The position was significant to the forces in the area as it offered a vantage point overlooking the surrounding countryside and trench lines. This area was held variously by British, French and German forces. Germans captured Hill 60 on May the 5th, 1915 after a poison gas attack and held it for more than 2 years. While British troops held the trench lines, British, Canadian and finally Australian tunnelling companies dug underneath Hill 60. Finally, before dawn on June the 7th, 1917, 19 mines were detonated along several kilometres of the German trench lines on Messines Ridge. It signalled the start of the Battle of Messines. Hill 60 was on the northern flank of the British Second Army's attack. The 1st Australian Tunnelling Company exploded 2 mines here. An officer described one of the explosions. Suddenly the earth seemed to swell like a huge mound rising from the ground. When it had reached breaking point, cracks appeared from out of which rushed hissing gases and flame. These tongues of flame shot upwards and then seemed as if they would roll towards our own lines and consume their creators. Pillars of cloud succeeded the pillars of fire. Before those died away, the most tremendous and probably the most perfect barrage of the war was laid down by the artillery. As the barrage opened, the grey lines of men sprang into action, and the attacking infantry marched along as if on parade. More than 650 Germans were killed by the mines at Hill 60. The British 23rd Division swept forward and captured the position. The success was repeated to the south, where in the aftermath of equally devastating mine detonations, British, Australian and New Zealand divisions stormed the rest of Messines Ridge. The battle continued for 8 days as German forces recovered from their initial shock and counterattacked. However, in the fighting that followed, the Germans failed to retake the ridge. About 17,000 British Empire and 25,000 German troops were killed or wounded in this battle. Despite this victory, the British had to abandon Hill 60 in April the following year due to successful German attacks elsewhere along the front. Hill 60 was recaptured by the British for the final time on September the 28th, 1918.